there we go. That's why I had to close out the other one. There's that. And I need to get a streaming key, right? Oh, I'm on that channel. I see. I am on the opposite channel, so I do need to go back. Get this key to share this on another channel. Alright, I guess I only have... There should be two, right? Oh, okay. There's a kiss for you. Is that Jennifer Aniston? I forgot what I was doing here. Sorry, I am posting to... There we go, that's what I was doing. I need to create a post. If you haven't subbed to my new channel and you are one of my Smurfy soldiers, what the Smurf is wrong with you? I'm also live now. Alright, so then what image am I going to put in here? Let's find an image to click and drag. How about... this. I'll just put that in there for shits. Oops. Okay, so there's that, there's that, there's that, there's that. Do right now is find a... I think I'll just do this meeting with him. I will just do this. So that camera is being used right now. This camera is the True Vision HD. The one I need is the Logitech. So then hopefully that'll be the one that I can use here. It's telling me that I can't use the camera because another app is using my, but no, see, it says try again, dismiss. I want to dismiss that because I need to get into your settings. Meeting details. Whiteboarding. Oh. Recording. Share their screen. Okay. Lets you restrict what participants can do. Let everyone share their screen. Hello. Whatever. I'll turn on their video. Host must join before anyone else. Meeting type. Open. People can join without asking if they are invited using their Google account. Everyone must, whatever. Okay. So this isn't showing me. Show more information. Try again. Okay, so I don't know why it's not bringing up something for me to maybe switch cameras, you know? I don't want to use that camera, so how do I switch? Microphone off, microphone on. There we go. Here it is, right here. Is this button right here something? Is this button right here something? Is this button right here something? Where is the settings? I don't get this, man. I am frustrated. Pin to the screen. Oh my gosh. Alright, well, I'm gonna have to just do this because it's just annoying. Alright. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to write one to him, so let's see. Doxy. Alright, so get out of here. I change my glasses because there's a spot on them I don't like. Alright, so I'm waiting for Mark to show up. And I need to then, in the meantime, in between time, I need to do it from here, do it from my phone. There we go. I dropped this down. What is his name? Okay, so that's not gonna work. I don't remember. I'm gonna have to do this so many times. I don't want to do it that way. So. Hello, hello, hello.
Whoa, hang on. That's loud.
I can't hear you.
Your camera is turned off. Let's have a look. There we go.
It's no use trying to talk to me. I can't hear you. I have to figure out why.
Turn microphone.
So why am I not hearing Mark?
Hang on, hang on.
I don't know why you keep talking.
Inputs.
My mic is good. Everything over here on OBS. This is now then. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me now, yeah?
Yeah, what's funny about that is I saw you light up, but I have no idea what you said because I can't hear you. So why is my mic not working? So are my headphones going someplace where I don't want them to go?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? No?
Stop talking, Mark. I can't hear you. Cat Lover Truth Seeker says that she can, or he, I'm sorry, what's your pronoun?
No?
We are both being heard. The problem with that is we can't hear each other, so that's not helpful. Of course, why didn't I know that? Spicy Smurf. That's hilarious. All right, well, here you go. Here's your induction into the Smurf army. You're going to be a managing moderator, which gives you all power. Pretty much. So for the rest of the audience, you're just going to have to be patient as I try to figure out why my setup is not working. So if I go up to the this is for my browser. This is not the kind of help that I need. So needle pulling thread. Mark. I just saw that my mic was off. And I just turned it on, but now this part up here says it's off. So is it off or on? I'm so confused, man. What am I, new at this? Why is this so poopy? I was just using this yesterday and had zero
Right.
problems. Zero
Can
problems.
you hear me now? Can you hear me now? My mic's turned on. USB microphone.
I wonder if this sounds hilarious on the outside.
Stop recording then. Ah. You can hear something, can't you? I heard it echo back to me. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Hi, sunshine. I'm talking to somebody. Can you what? Yours? Listen, you can't choose. No, you're not coming here and using these. Okay, can you hear me? It's open to my son, yeah? That's okay. Never mind. I'm good. I'm very good. How are you, OB? I've not spoke to you for some time. Yeah, mine is not. Mine's not on either. Right, settings, speakers on. Video. Camera is off. Camera is off. It does say my camera is off, but I don't know how to turn it on. Okay. All right. No, I can hear you. So are we live on YouTube? Which channel is that? Yeah, got it. Yeah, got it. Just come through. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't know why it's crack. There you go. All right, I'm back, Christy. I know that I'm back. I know you can hear me. You don't need to tell me you can hear me because I know you can. There's Antique Olive there in the chat, otherwise known as Mark. So now I'm going to have to build up a new Smurf army. Do this, do this, do this. All right, you are now a managing moderator there, Antique Olive. Are you there still?
Yeah.
All right, so break down your Masonic Illuminati icon that you have here on the Google Meets. What is your crest
when
mean?
When you said go to Google, well, the only Google account I've got on this computer is the chess club.
Got it. Okay.
So we've got on the two sides, we've got the king and the queen. We have a race track in Downpatrick, which is where you've got the silhouette of the horse jumping over. And then the Celtic cross, which represents St. Patrick. Because St. Patrick was a bishop, he's well connected to the game of chess, so that's what it's all about.
St. Patrick is acquainted with the game of chess, is he? Was he a master?
He was a bishop, wasn't he?
Ah, he was a bishop. You're hilarious. You sure he wasn't a pawn?
Yeah, of course he was. He was Welsh, actually. He wasn't Irish. Did you know that?
I didn't, but I just had confirmation of something that I found out, I would think within a decade ago, that I grew up believing I was Irish, and then out of nowhere my stepmom came out and said, you know, Finley is actually Scotch Irish. And I'm like, really? So like whatever that means in your neck of the woods, where, because it's all part of the same island, right? Scotland and Ireland are on the same island, right?
With the British Isles, there's a bit of water between the two.
Okay. So again, forgive me for being so long out of geography. So Scotland is its own individual piece of land that's not attached to Ireland? Because I thought that they were like...
That's right, yeah. There's about... The shortest distance would be about maybe 20 miles between the two.
Really? Well, that's really weird. Why did I think...
No, it's probably less than that. No, we can see Scotland from the coast.
So then is Ireland... Is Ireland on the same piece of... Ireland is on the same piece of land then that Britain is then, right? Or is Ireland its own island too?
Oh yes, it is. Yeah.
What the hell am I? I have a picture in my mind where I can see Ireland, like on the left half, and then on the same land it then says Scotland on the other side, so that there's an understood territory line there. But that for some reason must be a completely erroneous memory.
There's a strip of water between the two, but we can clearly see each other. But there's the old legend of Finn McCool, the giant who had a squabble with the Scottish giant, and they were throwing stones at each other over the water, or boulders. And that accounts for some of the rocks around the County Antrim coast.
Got it. All right. And then I would imagine that pontiff at the top is St. Patrick. Of your icon.
St. Patrick.
The man figure at the top. Who's that? You know, he's got the whatever they call those poofy hats. That
Yeah,
it's like whatever.
it's got the bishop's hat, which goes back to
Oh, okay.
Dagon, doesn't it? The fish god.
No, I don't know anything about whether or not it goes back to Dagon. I do know what Dagon is, but okay.
Um,
So then that is the image or the effigy then of Saint Patrick as a bishop.
yeah.
I gotcha. Okay, and then what about the banner at the very bottom?
Oh, I can't remember now. It means if there isn't a way, make a way. Um, if you can't see a way on the chessboard, well, you have to make the way. You know,
Got it. Well, that's
if you want
interesting because that's a lot like the whole spiritual discipline of manifestation, right? That if you have a dream, then all you have to do is manifest that dream, make it happen.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, make it happen. So in the game of chess, if you can't see a way, make a way.
Right, right.
Maybe your way is maybe just 2 or 3 moves ahead.
Yeah.
I think Mommy's lying down in the bedroom sometime.
So I'm on a new wacky adventure in my future now. I'm going to be relocating.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Away from Maryland, yeah? Well, she must be in the front room, darling, okay? So where are you moving to?
That's a good question. You know, I mean, part of me wants to travel to the United States in the way that I can and just do something like DoorDash along the way for small trifles and maybe gas money and then just drive all over the country. The other part wants to relocate to Southern California to see how the Uber and Lyft realities are out there. So, you know, I'm kind of like open ended that way. But the biggest impulse to do this is the solar eclipse that's coming up is going to be going straight through an area in Dallas, Texas, where my father has recently moved. And then, if you remember Aaron Morfeld from our previous lives, I don't know if you remember seeing Aaron a lot, but he's been.
Not straight away, I can't know.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, he and I met through my Red Hen Radio days and when I was in my early days of on Nathan's channel. So somehow I think that maybe he contacted me first, but either way, we've been friends for the past 6 years, pretty much the same way you and I have. But I've met him 3 times now. So anyway, so I'm going to be going out there and staying with him because my dad's health isn't that great, and he doesn't really want to have to worry about me worrying about him. So he hasn't invited me to stay with him, but he'll be in the area. And so I will be going out to that area of Texas, hopefully like a week before the eclipse, so that I can film as much of the sky leading up to it, you know, because we all say, where's the moon? We can't see the moon approach the sun. It's not the, you know, like, so I'm going to be trying to just take, you know, photographs to give orientation. And then a few days on the other side of the eclipse. So it's basically, I want to be there for about 2 weeks worth, wherein I'll have to see if I can, you know, do Uber while I'm there too. So I'll have to make those transitions.
So is this like a spiritual journey you're on?
Yeah. It's of course, all of life is spiritual. So my direct answer to that question is yeah, absolutely. But it's more of like, almost like a let's see where this is going to go. At the same time, it's based on, you know, even where I hopefully think my maturity level is right now, because on the one hand, I have this ambition to make this move, but on the other hand, that ego, that subconscious, or if you want to, you know, go into the realm of the what's the word that they use for spirits in the ancient times? What's that word? A genie, right? They call them genies, I think. Or you have these spirit beings that, you know, seem to influence. So whether or not it's my own impulse to move forward, I think that is. It is my own impulse to move forward, but whether or not it is myself that is now saying to myself, oh, if you move out, you won't know, you won't have any assurance, you won't have any comfort, you might, run out of money, you might run out of food, like the fear factor. So that is all a part of the experience too, and that is overcoming that fear of change. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I've done it before in the past. As a younger man, you just move to an area and depend on people's generosity. Not that would you use the word expression sponging on people?
Well, the point, yeah, I understand what you're saying. The point at which I'm starting my journey isn't as a sponge. It could get that to that place. You know what I mean? It could get to that place. But technically, I'm a have camera, will travel kind of a guy. Like, I have the tools that I need to survive that I can take with me wherever I go. So, for instance, if I did move to California and ended up not being able to find a place to live and wanted to sponge off a buddy for, like, he said, yeah, in the words of George Thorogood, let me go ask my wife, and if somebody says, yeah, you can crash here, I wouldn't be like not doing anything. I would be going out and doing Uber and doing this, that, or the other. So I would be working. So it wouldn't be your typical scenario. So it wouldn't be really sponging, because sponging in my mind is like I'm not working at all, and with that kind of a thing. So it's not directly correlated to somebody who's being a sponging is another word for out here. I don't know if you use the word mooch, but if you mooch off of people, it's the same idea.
Okay. Yeah, I get the idea. So it's just a vehicle you've got, and that's it, really.
Yeah, I mean, I could feasibly, and I just did it today. I went through some stuff, didn't get rid of anything. I just kind of try to organize it into different containers. But like, I could basically live out of my car and just do Uber Eats or DoorDash and then sleep out of the car. Or I've got a friend who just contacted me and said, I've got somebody who's got a van that you can live out of, but he wants, $10,000 for it. Well, I can't afford that unless I sell my car.
Yeah.
So then if I sell my car, then I'll have a bigger place to live, but then I won't be able to use my van to do the deliveries because it wouldn't be economical. It wouldn't make sense to burn that much gas to make that little money. So then I would have to, here I'm just riffing off of things that I've thought in my own mind. Then if I am not going to, like, let's say for instance, I sell my car and then buy this van, and for all intents and purposes, this van is not going to break down within 2 years, right? So I've gotten 2 years out of it, which is a good investment, So if I'm going to live out of this van, what am I going to do to make money? Because I'm not going to go to a job typically. So the only thing I can do is take pictures of people or find a way to do one of the things that I would like to try to do is to be almost like a food vendor in this one area where you get this massive rotation of campers, where I go to shoot the Channel Islands in Ventura, where the Anacapa Island is. About 4 or 5 miles north, there's this massive long strip of RV parking places. They don't have any electric hookup, nothing. It's just you can park there and you can stay there. I think
Sorry.
That's okay. I think the limitation of how long you can stay there is like, say, 2 weeks, and then you have to move, right? Yeah. But no one there is tapping into the fact that you have hundreds of customers that don't have immediate access to food or good coffee. So then, like, say, for instance, in my mind, I would make, let's say 10 orders. I would make 10 breakfast burritos that would be generic enough for anybody to like. They're not going to be too hot. They're not going to be, carnivorous. So basically, a vegan can't enjoy a non-vegan breakfast burrito. But a non-vegan could enjoy a vegan one. It just doesn't have meat. It's still going to taste good. It's still going to have things in it that you might enjoy, but it's just not going to have the protein that you're looking for. So anyway, I'm going to create this opportunity. I'm going to make a breakfast burrito. I'm going to make a cup of coffee. I'm going to make a scone. So you have 3 things that I'm going to sell you for breakfast. If I do 30 of those and get rid of all of them for the price that I want, I don't have to do anything for the rest of the day. That's enough money for me to survive on. But I just have to do it. I have to get out there and show people, oh, I didn't know that you were here. Like, yeah, I'll order your breakfast, Like, think about it. There's over 100 parking places, If I get 10 or 20 to order from me, that's pretty good,
Yeah. And when are you starting?
When am I starting?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess on this thing, it's within a couple of weeks, toward the end of the month, because the eclipse isn't until the weekend of the 8th of April, so, it's basically 3 weeks away.
Yeah. Have you seen an eclipse before?
I didn't hear this. Seen what?
An eclipse before. A full
I
eclipse.
have, yeah. Oh, wait, let me see, of a solar eclipse. The solar eclipse, when did I maybe see that happen last? It would have been in the morning. Yeah, I did. I think it would have been 2 or 3 years ago. I caught a very, very early morning, what happened was I had my cameras set up. I had where I thought the sun was going to be coming from. So it was all recording. I was talking, looked up. Oh, there's the sun, and I had to move my camera over. But that was that. That was in the morning. That would have been 2 or 3 years ago. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen lots of partial ones, but only one full one, and that was going back maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah, I've never experienced it to where the sky grows dark, where it becomes nighttime and the crickets come out and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That part didn't happen, but other than that, technically, because then I don't know if it was a full solar eclipse. Because I think the full solar eclipses, you do have that nighttime experience, but...
Yes, yeah. But it doesn't last long.
Right. Yeah, it's just this transition period. Mm-hmm. Right. I had this really couple of interesting conversations today that were just syncopated with things that I've been thinking about and talking about. But have you been paying attention to or listening to anything that I've been talking to about the moon?
Not to any depth. I've kept my eye on it. The chess club has really taken over my life. So,
okay.
Have you established that the moon is 30 days rather than 28?
I have not done that in terms of collecting my own personal data, but in terms of talking about why I think it's that way, I've said that plenty of times. Yeah. But I think in terms of trying to establish on my own, it would require me to be much, much more disciplined and determined to create data and logs for, what I did on this day, and I saw the moon on this day, and this, that, and I'm just not doing that. Like right now it's partially cloudy. It looked like shit earlier, so I'm imagining that at some point in the sky right now you'd be able to see the moon because it's up. But yeah, for the most part, I think that I'm probably I did do a re-evaluation of the claim that I made from 31 to 30, because when I was talking about it, I looked at the moon diagram that I had on my screen, and I said to myself, wait a minute, if we cut this in half, then it's got to be an equal half, and 15 doesn't divide equally. or 31 doesn't divide equally. So that's not going to work. Because nature doesn't do anything in percentages as far as I'm concerned. You're either pregnant or you're not. You know what I mean? You're not 40% pregnant. I mean, the only thing I guess you could say that is done in percentages would be the phases of the moon. You know, because then you would say how many, you know, because you call it a quarter moon, full moon, quarter moon, whatever. But I have been working on some things that are really interesting if you want me to share some of those.
Yes, go ahead.
Because that'll be, I mean, I would appreciate that because that would let me talk about things that I'm thinking about, and then you can shoot them down. Okay, so I tried to share my screen, I think. Can you see this?
I can, yes.
Okay. So let me, I think this box is empty. Let me get it out of the way. Yeah. Okay. So this diagram here.
Yeah.
Okay. This diagram is intended to be both visual and, I guess, conceptual. So the concept isn't going to necessarily match the visual because I found another image that I'll show you right here that I could have used, but it didn't match the visual. So conceptually it was okay, but visually it didn't work. Let me show you which one it was. It was this one. This isn't the original. Do I have the original file? I don't see it. So, okay. So I'll just use this one real quick. All right, you see this black and white now? Moon? Oh, no, because I have to share this. I'm not sharing my window. Okay, never mind. I have to share a different window. Sorry. Present something else. Window, this one.
Okay.
Okay.
I saw you post that on Facebook.
Yeah, right. I've done a couple of these. So this is basically set up for 28 days. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry that I don't have the full the bare bones one, so you'll just have to forgive me for this. Okay, so let's just look at this as if we had just done a search for the phases of the moon. So what I did was I assumed that whoever put this together, and I mean it took a long time because you had to cut and paste each of these phases precisely, you know, where you think they were. So this was worth somebody's time to put this in, and ultimately it's a nice diagram. Okay, so if we're going to assume that if this isn't put out by NASA or anyone else that's official, that let's say Granny Smith put this together, what did she put? So she has the full moon here at the top. So let's just start there. This is our number 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 9. So there's 29 moons here.
Okay.
Okay? So you then have to say, so does that mean, so she has 29 moons. So does that mean that the moon cycle is always 29? Right? Because that would be a question I have. It's like, do you never know what the moon cycle is going to be? Could it be 15 one day? Could it be 20?
Well, right. Our day is 24 hours, but that's based on the sun.
Okay, so right.
So could go in. We need to sort of bring it down to minutes where both would share the same measurement, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the kickback that I've gotten from a few people is that I'm going to share my whole screen instead of the...
So when they say that it's going to be a full moon on the 1st of a month, what part of that day is it actually?
Yes, excellent question. Okay, this is precisely very, 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 everyone listening to the sultry sounds of our voices right now, what Mark's question is precisely the kind of question that we need to address. Okay, so we can camp out here for a second, but I was hoping to buy a little bit more time because I wanted to find the naked version of this diagram because I just want to use. So if you want to give me a second, let me try to find the bare bones image. Pictures. Downloads. No, that's video. Oh, there's this. Okay, forget it. I'm not going to be able to do it. Repeat the question or type it in the chat, please. Okay, so Mark, do you feel like you can put that question back to us again?
Yeah, yeah. If, when we say the full moon is going to be on the 1st, at what part of the day will it be absolute maximum and it starts to wane after that? So is it like 10 a.m. that it's going to be its full and then it's going to start waning after that? Or is it going to be 1 minute before midnight? So you could get 28 days, but it appears that a few hours later it goes into your 29th day.
Yeah, that would take a few people to think about this for me at least. Someone else who's smarter than I am might not need to have that kind of help. But let me try to, can you see the image that's on the screen right now?
Oh, I can, yes.
The new chart with it says Moon Phases Calendar 2024?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe that this is the calendar that Spicy Vegan Smurf or Cat Lover Truth Seeker in the chat right now. I think that this is the one that she found and suggested to me. Okay, so let me just kind of walk through this real quick as briefly as possible, but then try to address your question. So again, going back to what I said before about the fact that when you do a Google search, I'm going to look up Moon Phases Calendar 2024. I have no idea what I'm going to see. No idea what I'm going to find. So when I get this calendar, what does this calendar tell me? Okay. First of all, we got January, December. Kind of knew that already. Huh? Yeah. I know that every month is different than the previous one. There's 31 months here. There's 29 days here. 31, 30, 31, 30, 31, 31. And so you have this zigzag of 30s and 31s all the way down. Okay. So you have to now try to answer your question and basically forget everything that you know. The trick is not to bend the spoon. The trick is to realize there is no spoon. So imagine a world with no calendar. Imagine a world with no month called January or March, because that is so indiscriminate. You could make it start anytime. January doesn't have to start on a Monday. It could. It could also start on a Sunday or a Friday. Like it has like all of those things. Like so there's nothing concrete about the calendar because it's always changing. So then what's not changing? What is always consistent? I'll tell you what's always consistent. Nature. Fucking nature does the same thing every day, over and over and over and over again. So, going back to this question that you posed for us right here, let's just go up to January, and let me try to make this a little bit bigger, okay, because I'm going to try to walk through my interpretation of what's happening here. And I just want to make sure you can see my mouse right here, the hand grabber.
I can, yes.
Okay. So, just to give you a point of reference, right here in this past January, they consider the 11th to be when the new moon was. Okay? And then you see this tiny little crescent to the left on the 10th, this tiny little crescent to the right on the 12th. This is 3 days, 10, 11, and 12. 3 days of moon life. 3 days that the moon is in the sky, but where is it? In these 3 days, the moon is so close to the sun in terms of proximity of our sky. I'm not talking about the fact that it traveled 90 million miles and is now closer to the sun. I'm talking about simply parallax and perspective, okay? And physics, because, you know, these two things that are in the sky, the sun and the moon, have actually gone closer together. As you watch them in the sky right now, they're moving farther and farther apart, okay? The moon is slowly being left behind because the moon has passed the sun up and the moon travels faster than the sun. But my point is, on these 3 days, this happens every month, Mark. Every month, there are 3 days and 2 nights when no one in the world can see the moon anywhere. Try it. Okay? Find out when the new moon is. The next one is going to be in April. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to test. I'm going to prove Travis wrong. Okay, do it. You look. Hold on, just real quick. You look real quick, and say, okay, when does science say the new moon is going to be? Okay, science says the new moon is going to be April 9th. That means April 8th and April 10th, I shouldn't see the moon. Okay, so then go out and test it. Yeah. What were you going to say?
I just did a question into Google, how long factually is one moon cycle, and there's a difference between a sidereal month and an actual month. The paragraph starts off. It takes. Oh, there's me. The screen just gone. It takes 27 days, 7 hours, and 43 minutes for our moon to complete one full orbit around Earth. This is called a sidereal month, and is measured by our moon's position relative to a distant fixed star. However, it takes our moon about 29.5 days to complete one cycle of phases from new moon to new moon.
Okay. I, again, am wanting to, and am, as much as I can on my channel, challenge that status quo. Okay? So the sidereal measurement and the lunar measurement, I think, are two things that we have to take into consideration, because after all, I said this already, nature is our best instructor. Okay? Nature is our best teacher. So I'm not trying to discredit or discount the sidereal aspects, because there's 3 different motions, I think, right? There's the sidereal, which means the sun and the moon's movement in relation to the stars. Okay?
Yeah.
But then there's the lunar month, and then there's also the solar year. So within those 3 reference frames, the stars or the zodiac, the sun, and the moon, you have 3 different things that you can talk about, because the moon measures something in particular, the sun measures something in particular, and the stars measure something in particular. So you have to take everything into account as to how it relates. I don't deny that. Okay, so I'm going to say that at the outset.
Yeah.
However, what my claim is right now is what I'm going to try to say to you again is this. Based on how I've thought about this and where I've looked at things for the past month, it seems to me that it doesn't matter when... Okay, let me do this now. Forgive me for being so scatterbrained, but this is just the way my lizard brain works. So you can see now this image here.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to try to walk through, not through the whole thing, but I'm just going to try to, okay, so now you hear your conversation and my conversation. Someone out there is listening to this conversation. They're like, oh, this is kind of interesting, and I'm going to see if Travis is right. When are you going to start measuring the moon? Are you going to do it tonight? Right? Because if you do it today, you're in the middle of a cycle, not the beginning. So then you're going to have to then make sure that you stop on the middle of the cycle when it comes around again. However, I think that is a little bit more difficult, because which cycle are we on? We just passed the quarter moon, which puts it halfway through the waxing phase. Okay? Mm-hmm. But if we go back to the beginning, let's say, for instance, today is the 9th day that the moon's cycle has been calculated. So if we're on 9 and we go back 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, If we go back to the very first day, then that would look like this. On the 13th, this would be day 1. Why? Because you see this part of the moon for the first time. You can't see this moon. It's too close to the sun. You can't see this moon. It's too close to the sun. You can't see this moon. It's too close to the sun. So for 3 days, no one anywhere, night or day, can you see the sun. So, in my opinion, the best way to start counting for this cycle is, when can you see the new moon? Oh, we have a thing for that. It's called the new moon. So, when you see the waxing crescent for the very first time, which happened 9 days ago, last Sunday, okay? It happened last Sunday. So now if we go down to the month that it is right now, here's March, right? Today is the 18th, right? Yes. So if we go back 9 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If we go back 9 days, this should be March 1st right here. Per se. I'm just saying March 8th should be March 8th would have been the day that you saw the moon for the first time. Okay? Does that make sense? So basically,
is the last time you saw the old moon? What do they call the last slither when it's waning?
it's just the waning crescent.
Oh, right, okay.
So you have the waning gibbous, which is moving away from full. The gibbous is when there's the most light available on the moon, but it's not a full moon. Okay. So if you look at you can see the diagrams here, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is not a full moon, it's a gibbous. This is a gibbous, this is a gibbous, this is a gibbous, this is a gibbous. This is the quarter moon because it's halfway through the waxing phase, because here's the first half where you have crescent, crescent, crescent. So I didn't realize this until I started looking at this. So every phase in the moon's cycle, okay, so there is one monthly cycle that has two phases to it, the waxing phase and the waning phase. Both the waxing and the waning are directly opposite of each other in the cycle. That is, if you have a 1% waxing crescent, that 1% waxing crescent has an equal and opposite waning gibbous. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then think about it this way: so I'm going to paint it right here with this. On this diagram of the January month, you have the waxing moon here on the right. So, at least on this diagram, you should understand that when you see the light on the right side of the moon, this is waxing. It's waxing toward full moon. And then this side is the waning. And the light is on the left side. So you see now right? So now you see that the waning light of the moon is on the direct opposite side of the waxing light of the moon. Do you see how I'm saying that they're polar opposites?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go find their opposites, right? Here is 0 hour where there's no moonlight. You and I can't see these two, so they don't count, even though they give us a little tiny sliver and call it 1.3%. We can't see that with our naked eye, so it doesn't exist. Now, when the 13th comes out, we can see this amount of light. Well, if Travis is right and the waxing crescent has its opposite waning gibbous, where does the opposite waning gibbous happen? And that more than likely is all the way over, let's see, how would it be? Like right here. Because this amount of sun is like 99% full, or the moon. This amount of the moon is like 99% full. What would make it complete? This little tiny sliver here from the waxing phase. But this is waxing, this is waning. You put the two opposites together, you have a full moon. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, remember what I said if we were to do this search, Google search, tell me things, internet. Tell me, give me a chart of the moon. So after I asked Google to give me a calendar of the system of the moon, is it going to be my basic assumption that it's accurate? What do you think? Should I assume that if I do a search on Google and say, hey, I'm looking for lunar calendar months for 2024, and then I see a dozen show up, should I assume that they are all accurate?
Well, I think at the end of the month you can say that if you observe one particular cycle and it turns out to be correct, then you can have confidence in it, couldn't you?
I think that you're talking about an aspect of science where you check your work, right? So yeah, I would agree with you that we can check our work as opposed to just looking at it and taking it for granted. But I forgot what I was going to say a second ago. But let me go back to this now, because I'm going to show you an aspect in which this calendar doesn't match up with the moon. So here's my natural declaration of the moon. However long the moon's cycle is, however long you want to put that number, whatever, it's always going to be the same every single month. It doesn't fluctuate. The nature doesn't fluctuate. The moon doesn't have 29 days one cycle and 31 the next. That doesn't happen in nature. It's impossible. Okay? So look right here on the 11th. Let me try to maybe zoom in a little bit more, okay? Right here on January 11th is the new moon. Right next to that is the waning crescent, and they show you that there is a crescent of light here, and they show you on the other side there's a crescent of light. However, when you go down to February, it doesn't match. January's new moon is right here. February's new moon is right here. But look right here. There's two circles with no light.
Okay, so all right. So they've added. Well, yeah, that could be because at what point of the day?
I'm already telling you. No, hold on. I'm already telling you at what point of the day. I've already told you at what part of the day is the new moon always going to be. I already know the answer. Christy, do you know the answer? Here's the question again. I won't give it until you give it a shot. At what part of the day is the new moon phase? Okay? So you have 24 hours to choose from. Tell me which hour in that, area of day is that moon going to experience that part of its cycle. So while she's got to go now, but I love the moon phase. Oh, I hope so. I'd love this to go. I don't know if that means that she's going to back out of this answer. Okay, but it's all well and good for us to hypothesize like you just kind of did. You kind of did an ad hoc defense. Like, well, surely there must be a reason. Okay, but they don't explain it to you, right? Like, if someone were going to study this, they would say, why is the moon these should match, but they don't. And to me, I think it's just because, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why. Why? If I created this calendar, I wouldn't have made these mistakes. They have to match. Each of these phases has to match. So now let's go back to this chart here. And this is the chart that got me into understanding that it has to be equal, even though if I don't have my days right here, but this is 15, so 15 is half of 30. So this is, in my mind, an adequate representation of a lunar cycle. Okay, so that so that the first day, I would have to actually move this over. This is in process. So day one would actually have to move over here because the new moon, in my opinion, is only new moon when you can see it for the first time. Technically, this green ellipsis right here, where there are 3 days encompassed in this ellipsis, technically the moon is in the sky. It didn't disappear, but you can't see it, and that's what this 3 days here represents. Then I also have this crisscross hourglass pattern to demonstrate that every phase of the moon has an equal and opposite phase. So this waxing gibbous here, its opposite phase is the waning crescent here. And then it just goes all the way across. And then when you get to the quarter moon waning, it's directly across from the quarter moon waxing. So then you're going to have the same amount of days between there. So that's how easy this is. That's how easy this is. You start off, let's just call it day 2. You start off on day 2. If you start counting these days, by the time you get around to this phase again, it's 30 days. And it's never going to be wrong. It's never going to be off. It's always going to be 30 days. But it's never going to match up with the sidereal calendar because that thing is fucked up.
Okay.
So then let's go back to this other diagram that I was talking about here. This diagram that someone put together is missing in this diamond right here. It doesn't have any indication that there are days between this phase and this phase.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
It just makes you think like, oh, tonight I saw this. Tomorrow night I'm going to see this. No, you're not. You're not going to see this for 4 days. So this is already incorrect because the day that this phase happened was on the 9th of March. And then the day that this happened was on the 13th of March. So what happened to your 10, 11, and 12? You know?
That's your writing, is it?
That's me.
Your notes.
Yeah. Those are my annotations, right?
Yeah.
And so then one of the last things that I was working on was this one. And so this one is what I was saying before that I got distracted on, that this is conceptual but also visual. So the idea that I want you to understand is that everything in this center circle is a polarization of light. So you can clearly see that the color of the moon out here is not the color of the moon here. I've got a filter here. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If the moon crosses this boundary line, whatever it is up in the sky, I don't know. Just listen to the concept. When the moon crosses over into this field, you can't see it anymore.
It's what?
You can't see it anymore. So if you see this dark shaded area down here, this is zero visibility of the moon, and it's completely in the entire field. Because if any part of this moon were outside of this field, it would be lit up.
Yeah, okay.
So as we move away from this position to this position, you're going to have the waxing crescent, waxing crescent, waxing crescent, waxing crescent, quarter moon, waxing gibbous, waxing gibbous, waxing gibbous, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, waning gibbous, waning quarter, waning crescent, waning crescent, waning crescent. So here we have everything that we need to know, at least in order to start making our own diagram of the moon. We see the moon fully exposed. We call that the full moon. We don't see the moon. We call that the new moon. For lack of a better term, I don't like it. I think it should be changed because why? Because as Christy already discovered, that they actually call all 3 days the new moon. They call that transition period of those 3 days that whole new moon cycle. But again, in my
Okay,
opinion, go ahead.
that's new to me. The whole 3 days is called new moon.
Well, let me look back to what she said. She said, okay, here she says this. She says, okay, this chart says January 11th was new moon, but I just realized it also says February 9th and 10th are the new moon. So whatever Christy looked up, she had that confirmation that they called all 3 days, February 9, 10, and 11, the new moon. But my position is you don't call it the new moon until you see it for the first time. Well, it's the first time since when, Travis? Since you couldn't see it. Right? Like, go out last night. No moon at night. Huh, that's weird. Because doesn't the moon rule the night? But there was no moon last night. Okay, that's kind of weird. So maybe it's in the daytime. So then I go out today. I look for it all day long. No moon. So I didn't see it at night. I didn't see it in the morning or during the day for the rest of the day. You know, like, so my point is that once the moon disappears, which would be the very last waning crescent, it would be 3 days later. When you see the very first crescent again, you start counting. That's day one. Let nature tell you when the month starts. And if you can make a prediction by that, by saying, oh, we know enough about this and we can project out, it better match. Because if it doesn't match, then you are wrong. Nature's not wrong. The moon didn't mess up. The moon didn't forget. The moon didn't add a phase or forget a phase. So I'm still, so what I'm trying to do right now is find out, like, does this work for you? And maybe if I make the entire thing incomplete or in its completion, I'm trying to communicate that when the moon is in this area, you are going to see the correct phase that it is. And the reason why you can't see the entire moon is because it is affected by the light of the sun in such a way with polarity that it can't be seen. It's like putting two polarizing filters over each other, and then all you have to do is like rotate them, and then you see how they interact together. Have you done that, or have you seen that done?
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
Right.
Polarizing.
Well, that's what I'm saying is happening with the moon. There's a layer of the sky, of light in the sky, that is dependent on the sun, because we know already that when the moon is directly next to the sun and you can't see it, the reason why you can't see it is because the daylight is so bright. Okay, right. Well, okay, that's the same reason at every single point of the moon's phase. Every single point of the moon's phase has a direct correlation to the position and energy of the sun. Now, I'm not going to say that the moon is reflecting the sun's light, but I am going to say that the moon is energized by its counterpart, the sun, to be lit in the way that it is. And I think that has to do with the field of energy that it moves in and out of during its cycle. So hopefully I'm a little bit clear, but if not, do you have any other question to follow up on?
So what time of the day, what was the question about 20 minutes ago? What time of the day is full moon or new moon?
Oh, okay, so let me do that real quick. I'll do that. So now here is my other attempt to do this with the appropriate amount of moons. Can you see this?
Yeah.
So what I would need out there for everyone listening to the sultry sound of my voice, hopefully if you're doing that right now, make sure you hit that Fonzarelli, smash that thumb. You know you like what you're hearing. Jump into the comment section, make some comments, and then share this content because I'm looking to... Oh, here's a comment from Ron Hagberg. Because I'm looking to correct my knowledge or have my knowledge correct the science. So let's see what Ron says. The moon only gets 100% full on the day of the lunar eclipse. So this is where I'm not going to argue with Ron. I'm going to argue with the science that he's repeating. I find it very hard to believe, call that the fallacy of incredulity if you want to, whatever. I find it hard to believe that what Ron just said is true. You only get a full moon on the day of a lunar eclipse. I call bullshit. Every month, every full moon is a full moon. Like, how can you have an object as big as the moon in space, the equal distant to the sun, 93 million miles away, relatively speaking? So then you have this massive source of light that's just shining light out, and then you have this thing that's out there. It's always going to be full. It's always going to be that side of the moon. That's always going to be full. So in order for you to then move away from that fullness to even 1 degree, not to see the light would have had to have been visible before then somehow. That's impossible. Listen to what I'm saying to you real quick. You're watching the moon move from the waning phase, which means the light is diminishing. Right? The waning phase is the light diminishing. And then you have the new moon when you can't see the moon at all. And then you start counting through the waxing phases until you get to the full moon. So now you're going to the day before or so. Look, now you know that the full moon follows the waxing phase. Okay, so what that means is this. When you look at the moon 2 days before it's full, and you can see that it's not full with your naked eye, and then you take a picture of it, like Ron says, he's photographed himself. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. He's photographed this. Boom, take a picture. Okay. And then you go the next day, and it's a little more full, but it's not completely full, but your eye can't see the difference. Because that happens. Your eye can't see that small of a percentage of a change. Okay? So Ron says, well, that's a good thing. I got my P900. I took a picture of it. Great. Awesome. I get that. So now think about this. So now you're on the very last waxing gibbous of the phase, and it wasn't full. And then you go to the next day okay, I apologize because I'm thinking through this as I'm trying to explain it. Because, again, the new moon happens at both the beginning of the day and the end of the day. And I think that this might come around to answering your question right now. So if you look at this chart right here, okay, okay, as we look at this chart right now, here we have the waxing gibbous. And here we have the full moon. So I'm just going to take it for granted that this full moon is 100% full. I'm not going to argue about it. You know, like, let's go back before we had atomic numbers. Let's go back before we had these ways of giving, you know, atomic weight and these microscopic impossible, like, we can't imagine what 93 million miles looks like. Well, guess what you can't also imagine? 93 negative million miles in terms of how small it would be. Like, you can't think of how small that is. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so so there's no way that 500 years ago you would have been standing next to me. We both look at the moon and we both say the moon's full. Like, you wouldn't go, oh no, it's actually 99.7. Like, you wouldn't know that. You couldn't tell that. You couldn't see it. So I'm more concerned with what we can see. Okay. I apologize if I'm completely just meandering and butchering your question. You were asking about what time of day these things should happen, okay? Let me go back. That's what I was trying to do right now. Okay, so in the phase where the full moon happens is going to be in the middle of the night. Okay, so then you can clearly see right here that this moon is in the daytime, 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 nighttime, 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 nighttime. But as it gets closer here, it's getting closer and closer to the morning. Okay, so the moon is on its track, however fast it's going, and the sun is on its track, however fast it's going, if we want to give it 15 degrees per hour. So if we go into the middle of the night and we see the moon like this, we know that it's on its waning phase. And we know that the waning phase leads to the end of the month. When you see the waning phase, you know you're halfway through the month and you're on the other side. So what you also know as you move away from the full moon is that you now have 15 days until the new moon. Why? Because every month is 30 days and you just made it halfway. So there's only 15. So you should know 15 days. When you get down here to day 13, it's getting closer to morning. So the very last time, this right here, you can barely see the little sliver of the waning crescent. The very last time you're going to see this moon is at twilight on the beginning of the day. Okay? So you follow me? So then my answer to your question, when does the new moon happen? The new moon always happens in the morning. Whenever it happens during the month, because it only happens once a month, it happens in the morning, which is the direct opposite of the full moon, because the full moon happens in the middle of the night. You see what I'm saying? Like it's the middle of the morning, it's the middle of the night, middle of the morning, middle of night. It has the direct opposites. Do you have another question after that?
I don't agree with you.
Okay, well then that's where, do you feel comfortable explaining why you don't? Because I would like to hear your rebuttal and then kind of use that to help me process what I'm saying.
Well, you said the full moon always happens at night. Well, that was you said that was your opinion. Could the full moon happen during the day as well? Because we do see quite large moons in the
I know. Yes. So I also think that you could be possibly correct, and this would be where I'm having to adjust this, because I do like have memories of like full moons apparently close to the morning, but I think that those would be on the fringe, so to speak. But give me a second if you don't mind. I have to use the restroom, but I'll be right back. So if you want to wax eloquent for the audience, I'll be right back. And then when I come back, remind me how much time you have left so I can keep that in mind. Okay. But I'll be right back.
Okay, doke. I live on the coast, a little fishing village called Ardglass in County Down in Ireland. And the tide times are directly related to, or they correlate to, where the moon is. And if the moon was always full at night, then we could say that the high tide or the corresponding tide will always be the same at night. But we get high tide and low tide all through the day at various times throughout the year. Why I'm saying it, the full moon doesn't actually happen only at night. It can be any time during the day. Let's see what he's got to say about that.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay,
all right.
There's a correlation between where the moon is and the tides. And if the moon was always going to be full at a particular time in the middle of the night, then we could also say that the tides would, a certain amount of position of the tide would always be during the night
Okay,
as
well,
well.
yeah, okay,
But that
so
means you've got high tide and low tide happening at any time of the day as the month goes on.
okay, so what you're bringing up right now is another aspect of nature that I think has to be taken into account for our discussion, but I think that it is almost like a glitch in the matrix for you to bring it up right now because it is a tertiary issue ultimately. Right now, even though I'm kind of talking broadly about certain things, I'm more concerned with what does the moon do precisely. Like all I want to know is that. And what that would mean is then because last Sunday was the first waxing crescent, then we've had 8 days of the month. So then we should have 22 more days. So if I go by what that looks like here, right? What's 22 days from now on the calendar? So you can get there faster. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 2, 22 days. Did I say 22? That's April 7th. And that puts us right at the new moon for the next month. Okay.
Okay, well, the start of that new moon, that crescent that becomes visible, could happen at any time. Let's say at any time in the day. It's not going to be a particular time of the day.
No, I think that it would. And let me try and maybe I should just do it on this. Although I think I understand what you're saying because it's like this mixing of the systems. Like if you know the sidereal system, you're like you glitch out. You're like, oh, what he's saying doesn't make sense. But I think that it will make sense. But we have to like take each facet of the discussion one at a time and establish one thing and say, okay, do we know this? Okay, yes, we absolutely know this. Okay, now how do we go into the next? So if we go back to what I was saying, go ahead.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought you were going to say. Okay, so if we go back to, again, this diagram of the moon is the entire diagram of a moon's cycle. Okay, but it's not laid out as a calendar, so it doesn't look normal. Like, what day is this? We don't know. Like, this is, let me say this. This diagram of the moon is the diagram of the moon for every month. Okay? But we know that every month has Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays in it. So which day is this? Which day is this? Which day is this? That's where you get into the manufactured, fabricated, man-made concept overlapping nature. Okay? Because this cycle that nature does is on repeat, on repeat, on repeat, on repeat, which is why, you can remember last year celebrating, let's say, New Year's on a Sunday. But next year it's going to be on a Tuesday, right? So so in our minds, like, oh, the months never match up because we're always different every year. No. That's the wacky, tacky, sidereal bullshit that they want us to be distracted by. So
Gregorian.
yeah, absolutely. So let me try to answer the question again. So as we come around on the waning crescent, when you get to the waning crescent, you need to know that you have about 7 days left. And in each of those days, the moon is going to get closer and closer to daylight. And as the moon gets closer and closer to daylight, which is what the inside of the circle represents, it loses more and more of its light. So that's what this indicates here. Okay, this colorization here indicates the proximity of the moon to the sun. Here, the moon is the farthest away, technically speaking. Here, it got closer. Here, it got closer. Here, it got closer. Travis, how do you know it's getting closer? Well, the light of the moon is diminishing. The time that the moon is in the sky is changing. So here it's spending the majority of its time in the nighttime. But it's getting closer to the day, closer to the day, closer to the day. What? Closer to the day? Yeah. Then that's demonstrated by this polarization here. You are seeing less and less of this moon. Why? Because it's getting closer to the sun. And so when the moon finally disappears and you can't see it, you see that very last little sliver, you're like, surely that's going to be the last day. You can know, put it in the back pocket, that the next 3 days you're not going to see the moon. So think about it this way now. If this doesn't get too abstract, okay? Let's say tonight you go outside tomorrow morning, I'm sorry. Let's say tomorrow morning you wake up at, say, 5 o'clock or whatever, and at 5 o'clock you're like, oh man, look at how beautiful the moon is, but it's this like sliver. And we just think, oh, it's beautiful, it's the moon, it's a sliver. Okay, whatever. But you see the moon in the sky at nighttime. And the position of the moon at nighttime shows you that it just started to rise like 3 hours ago, which means that it's going to finish out its circuit in the night, but it's also going to continue to be in the sky during the daytime. In that same day, that day that you woke up, looked up at the sky at 5 o'clock in the morning, the moon is only halfway through its nighttime cycle, but it's just about to become daytime for you. So start watching the moon. Don't take your eyes off the moon, and tell me at what part of the day could you no longer see the moon anymore? Because I've done it without recording it. I've seen the moon at 7 o'clock in the morning.
And it's not dipped behind the horizon. It's just disappeared in the sky.
Yes.
Okay.
It is in the sky. You just saw it an hour ago, but life is the way it is, Travis. Things get busy. I can't always watch the sky. I get that. But now that you looked at the sky, can you see the moon? No. Well, get out your handy dandy Skyview app and look and see where it shows you. It should be right there in the sky, Travis. But I can't see it. Right, because the daylight is polarizing it and you can't see it. But it's right there.
But the daylight's overwhelmed it, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
But that only happens as the day progresses, as the sun apparently comes brighter and brighter and brighter into your particular field of view. You know? To me, I love thinking about this, but it's just so like my mind is just like almost wanting to explode. So here's what Ron says again. He says the moon only gets 100% full. Oh, that's what he said. He says, so technically there will only be 3 full moons in 2024. To me, that's scientism's bullshit. Like, my bullshit meter is just going off. There is no way you can have an object allegedly in the full exposure of the sun and not be 100% lit. No way. You can't do it.
Is he referring to the 15 degree, not the 5 degree wobble?
I don't know. Ron, are you still here? Are you talking? He says, I've filmed it many times. It will only get to 99.8%. Okay. I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. My question for you would be, Ron, if you're still here, maybe I'll wait until he responds. Ron, are you still here? And I won't go on. But I don't know. What do you think about my diagram so far? Oh no, you know what? You were going to tell me how much you or how you disagreed. What? I don't know if you got to that part yet.
No, just that you're saying that the full moon sort of peaks during darkness. I'm saying that it can happen at any time within that 24 hours.
Okay. I'll grant that for the time being, because the other day I was actually thinking in my mind conceptually, oh, this means that the full moon's going to be full in the morning and not at night. So then I had to I think, so I do think that there are hiccups where we have to relook at certain things. So I will take that for granted. Although I don't know, Mark. Okay, so look, this last month, March, 8 days ago, 9 days ago, the moon looked like this.
Okay.
And that was at the very twilight of dawn. So I would say this phase of the moon will only ever happen at twilight, at dawn.
Okay, well, we just have to watch out for it, don't we? That that happens at 9 o'clock in the evening in darkness.
Right. So then, if you on one day, let's say 6 months from now, you have this idea that comes to your mind that you remember this conversation, and you're like, oh man. So then you go out and you look for the waning crescent. If you find the waning crescent, let's say at 11 o'clock in the morning, then yeah, I'm wrong. Absolutely. You have to then take it. So then there's this crazy shift. In order for that to happen, that's making my mind even blow up even more. So it's from where I stand right now, I'm actually even talking myself into saying what I said before. So if this phase is the only time it can happen, which would be at twilight, then 1-2 days later, this phase of the moon is going to be right smack in the beginning of the morning. Right when the sun's coming up, the moon's coming up at the same time. You're never going to see them both. You're only going to see the sun. So then, if the new moon is happening at morning and the full moon is 15 days later, then you know that this full moon is going to happen 15 days later. It's just what part of the day is it going to happen in. And I'm thinking that it's going to be like this. This is the daytime, this is the daytime, this is the daytime, this is the daytime, and somewhere around here, the moon is going to transition into the night. So that the full moon, based on what I'm saying right now, and I could be wrong, the full moon is always going to happen at night. Because in this system, it has to be that way. Because the moon never changes its days between phases.
So, okay. When you get full moon at night in Boston, what is South Africa experiencing?
I don't know. That's where I see. On the one hand, this is where I also appreciate the fact that there are other people in the world. But if you think about the reality of scientists, let's say 2,000 years ago, the Aztec were alive. The Mesoamericans were alive. The North Americans, the North, the people in the Canadian areas, all of those Eskimos, all of those Indian villages, they only knew, relatively speaking, just go with this, they only knew their village. If they had a scientist in their village, he would just build a science for their location. He doesn't know about Africa. There's no fucking clue about Africa. So all he can do is build an exact science of his location. But what I'm trying to suggest is his exact science is going to be accurate because he's simply looking at what nature is showing him. And then if he jots down, this is what's happening in nature, this is what's happening here, he's going to have accurate data. I don't know what that means if someone from Africa comes along and says, hey, check out my data. I don't know what that looks like. You have to then show me. You know what I mean? That's my kind of disclaimer for not knowing as much as you think or as much as I think I do.
Well, the wonderful thing about the internet is that we can be talking to somebody in South Africa and we can talk through what he's observing and what we're observing.
Well, that's true too, because I do have my friend Ian who lives in South Africa. So maybe I need to get with him on this and see. Oop, we just had somebody. Yeah, Ron says sometimes it's 99.9%. Okay, so here's my question for you, Ron. Okay, he says I can prove it. Great. So my question for you is if you think, Ron, if you think that you have a photograph of a moon that's 99% full. Like, can you show me the image, and then like what did you use to take the image? Did you use any filters, something like that? Okay. So I think that in this day and age of technological, precision, that we can be too precise for our own good. Yeah, the moon's only 99.9%. I'm like, no, that's just statistics, and statistics aren't real, in my opinion. Well, I hope, I know that you asked me a question and I can kind of like go on and on and on, but for me, I'm trying to express this stuff, so I feel like I talk a lot, but at the same time, I feel like I kind of have to because I'm the only one saying this. So forgive me for, monologuing if that's what I was doing.
No, it's okay. We mostly hear cloud above us. That's the Atlantic for us. But I'm going to keep my eye open now on waxing and waning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really amusing to me to think about it this way. It's almost like you can treat it as a game. Like, let's say right now you have no idea what part of the month is for the moon cycle. Okay, so find the moon, look at it. Could you tell right then and there, like looking at it, like, oh, I know exactly what time of month it is? At this point in my research, I can do that. Like right now, I can go out, look at the moon, and say, this is where we are in the month.
Okay, let's just hang on. Let me just have a look something. I want to do something. What's the nearest fishing port to you?
Well, I've got. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the I'm on the the Susquehanna River is right behind me, and then the Chesapeake Bay is going to stretch from me all the way down to Virginia. So it's just hundreds of miles of Chesapeake Bay. You have Annapolis. What are you looking for?
The next high tide in Baltimore. Baltimore's on the coast, isn't it?
No, it's on the Chesapeake Bay, but I don't think that you can maybe. I wouldn't consider that tidal charts because it's a bay, it's a river, So like where I'm at, where I filmed the Chesapeake Bay, is right below the massive Conowingo Dam, and depending on if they are ebbing or flowing the river, that's what determines the height of the tide where I'm at. It's not the moon. It's how much water they're letting through the Susquehanna. That raises the water level. So I don't think that tides are going to be necessarily accurate in the Chesapeake Bay, but that's just me. I just don't think that that's possible.
Well, give me something local to you. Something a bit more local to you then.
Ocean City, Maryland, because that's on the coast.
Okay, so when's the next high tide for Ocean City?
Did you get your answer?
No, you're looking at it. I'm doing
Oh, I'm supposed to be doing this?
Yeah, well, I'm doing Ardglass, which is where I live.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. I'm packing a tiny bowl. All right. Hey Siri. When is high tide at Ocean City, Maryland?
Okay, I found this on the web for tide.
Okay, leave me alone with all that. All right, the tide is currently rising. 4 o'clock, so in 20 minutes for me.
20 minutes is high tide in 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm struggling to find it on mine now.
Where's yours? What area?
Ardglass, County Down.
Okay, give me a second. When is the high tide for Ardglass? What'd you say? I doggone it.
Ardglass, County Down.
County Down. Ardglass, County Down. When is high tide for Ardglass, County Down? Okay, I don't even know if this is the right place. Is it? No, that's not right because it says California. That's not right. No.
Just put Belfast, high tide Belfast.
When is the high tide in Belfast? Uh, 5 a.m. 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
So that's in like 10 hours time.
Or it could be past already, and because you're later than 6 p.m. So this.
Yeah,
All right, so I think Ron just linked us something. Yeah, he just linked us. When is the moon 100% full? And here is Ron's video on it. Gonna give him a like. I'm gonna share this with you, or I'm gonna share this with my channel.
Yeah, my next high tide is 20 past 6 our time tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, so then, hey Siri, when is high tide tomorrow for Ocean City, Maryland? That's Monday. Give me today again. I want tomorrow. Ocean City, high tides, March. Oh, here we go. Okay, so tomorrow's high tide for us is 10 minutes after 5.
Oh, AM or PM?
PM. There are two high tides tomorrow. The one I gave you is in the PM, but its opposite is 12 hours earlier. So high.
I'm more confused than ever now.
Well, sorry. Okay, so I guess the thing that would be is like, if you and I are on the same latitude, then why aren't our high tides matched? Because the moon is in the same area. Like, it should be the same for us, I would think.
Well, no, the according to the heliocentric model, you could imagine that the water of the oceans is shaped a bit like an egg, and the thinner part of the egg is pointing to the moon. So as the moon goes around the Earth, it sort of draws an egg shape, and that's how the tides are affected. That's very simplistic. It's not egg shaped. It's an equal amount sticks out the other end as it does at the top end. And it's about 2 hours later.
Yeah, the whole moon and the tide thing for me is another aspect that has to be looked at, because if the moon does influence the tides, it's not the way that they've told us,
No, it's not, because the Great Lakes should have a significant amount of tidal measurements, and they don't have any, do they?
Right.
In North America.
So check this out, Mark. My friend Ian, who is the South African, has done this work, and actually I just posted a short video. I'll send it to you right now. You can watch it later, where I published my reaction to the information that he was giving, and I was just totally, geeking out on the one hand, but then also freaking out because he has now produced a mathematical equation for us to make the predictions that no one can make. So this is like Nobel Prize information. And basically what he and his wife did is he got temperature or thermometer devices to take the profile from however high off the ground, but they could do it in short distances. So it's just a matter of scale. So basically, let's say, for instance, he went out to a place that was, let's say, 1,000 meters. Okay. And he made a prediction about what he would see at 500 meters, and it matched. So he said, we should be seeing a mirage at this distance in this area based on this data. And his wife went out and he said, okay, stop, where are you? And they did all of their checking, and they did it, and they rechecked and rechecked and rechecked. And he's saying he can make these predictions. Well, if you're anything but if you're aware of anything that I've been saying, is that this would take hundreds of thousands of dollars and many, 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 many hours, and you would have to pay for people's livelihood. Well, based on what he just said, that's gone. We can do this in our backyard with little to minimal expense and have it be accurate. So Ian just said to me, I sent you the loophole to stream. Now you owe me a field test based on my paper. Absolutely. Absolutely, I'll do it. I just need to understand how to do it. So
Travis, can we start winding down?
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've got kids to put to bed.
No worries. I can let you go right away. I don't have to keep dragging it out, but I do appreciate your hanging out with me and letting me kind of ramble through my meanderings and try to think through this. So, feel free that if you keep thinking about this to send me some ideas to think about or, whatever. But Ian, if you were still listening right now, what were we talking about with the moon right now to talk to somebody in South Africa?
Good night, folks.
Oh, are you leaving?
Yeah, I've got kids to put to bed, and
I got you.
Okay. Cheers, mate.
Oh, man. Mark's like, I'm trying to get out of here. You keep wanting to talk. All right, man. I appreciate it. Yep. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So we were talking about something, Ian. Are you still here? I don't want to keep talking if you're not, so I'll wait for you to respond. Okay, so I don't see Ian responding. Ron, are you still here? Because what I'll do is I'll watch your video and react to it. Now, what I'm doing right now, in a sense, is creating... Okay, no worries. I can't remember what it was that Mark told me to ask you, but it was basically like, can you see the moon right now? And Ron's still here. Okay, so if you can see the moon right now, Ian... Can you take a picture of it and, hold it in your back pocket until we can look at it? The other thing that I'm doing right now that both of you are helping me on is I'm trying to accumulate watch hours. Like, I have to just waste time talking about, I have to create 4,000 hours of watchable content that people are actually going to watch. It's crazy. All right, so here is Ron's video. Oops.
Tell me what you think about this.
I hit it toward the beginning. Sorry about that.
When is the moon at 100% full?
Okay, so Ron, if you're listening right now, as far as I'm concerned, my disagreement is with the science, not with you. But I disagree with how science treats these concepts. So until I see nature confirm the concept, I'm not going to necessarily refer to the entire 3 days of new moon as the new moon. Like, to me, there's only one new moon. It happens right now in this moment when I can see it. because now it's the waxing phase. It's no longer new moon. Now it's the waxing phase. But here we are with you. So I'm going to try to listen as best I can to this from timeanddate.com. And here we go.
Okay, if you go to timeanddate.com, they listed the full moon April 29th at 7:58 p.m. Okay, now this is what it is right now, 99.6. You go to Moon Calc and put April 29th at 7:58 p.m. It shows the moon 99.8% full.
Okay, so right now my criticism is he's not, Ron, you're not measuring any of these. You're taking the data that these science liars, right? They're telling us lies about the nature of our reality. So my initial reaction is all you're doing right now is just regurgitating what the science says, which isn't in and of itself bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm just talking out loud.
Okay, now this site, Moon Giant, it says the full moon is the 30th. It's showing it for 2 days, but it says waxing gibbous 100% the 29th, and April 30th 100%. Now this site here.
I remember what it was that Mark suggested. Ian, it is the idea of seeing if the percentage matches. So where you can see the moon right now, if you could take a picture of that, would that match the phase that today is in here? Would we both have a 24.6 percent moon?
Is star date. It also lists the full moon at April 29th at 7:58 p.m.
So again, how would you confirm any of this? If this is in the future for a person back in the year, whatever, was this 2000, what year was this? 5 years ago. So this is, we'll just say 2019, but I think it was 2018 he was looking at stuff. Anyway, the only way you could confirm this is if you had this information a day ahead of time, so to speak, and then went out at 7:58 your time and took a picture. But are you measuring it, or are you just taking a picture and then putting it where they say, yeah, this is 99.8%? Like, how do you know?
If the science is settled, why are all these sites showing something slightly different? Well, I believe I know how to tell when the full moon is 100% full visually, but I can't get an exact time out of these sites. Now,
Okay, so now based on what Ron just said, I would say absolutely you're 100% correct. You can trust your senses. Because when you look at the moon, you're like, it's full. But science goes, oh, it's not full. It's 99.8%. It's not full. In fact, it never gets full until the lunar eclipse is like, that to me is like special pleading and can't be proven. So I see a little bit like we're both dancing the same, like we both know that science is lying to us. But if science is fixed, then as Ron said, why are these two sites giving us contradictory information? Shouldn't they both say when the full moon is going to be? And I think that that's when we get into the trouble of not letting nature be our, or rather, not letting nature be its own interpreter.
Now, yesterday at 7:58 p.m., because time and date said the moon would be 100% full, I went out and took some pictures.
All right, so this is from
This
2018.
was,
Okay.
just a few minutes before it was supposed to be 100%, but you can see these craters right here on the very edge. Now, that's how you tell, you can only see craters near the terminator line. So this is still a slight terminator. This is not 100%.
Okay, so here's my question to you, Ron. Okay. Let's back up a second, or a little bit. That's my mouse. Okay. Hold on.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so your mouse, right? Your mouse is pointing right where my mouse is. I get what you're saying right now. On this side of the moon, you're saying that we can see the texture and the terrain of the face of the moon has obvious demarcations, and he's saying this is the terminator line. This is where the darkness begins, and there should still be more surface of the moon that we should see. Okay, I get it. But now go all the way over here, and you can see that even though you can't see necessarily the craters the way you do here, this is still not a crisp straight line because of the energy that's happening in the air. You know what I mean? So like even right here, that looks like a crater. That looks like a crater. That's a dip. There's a dip here. There's a dip here. There's a dip here. So to me, this looks similar to this. But I get what you're saying. I get it. I can see that this side looks like it has just a sliver of a sliver, taken out.
That's how you tell. I mean, you can only see craters near the terminator line. So this is still a slight terminator. This is not 100% full moon. I believe, looking through my pictures, I just started looking for this, but looking through all of my pictures, I believe the last 100% full moon was on the 31st with the eclipse. Do have to try to do some more observations, but
do you have an example of the 100%?
When the moon is full, why can't they agree on this? And then you go back to the moon calc again. You can slide the slider around, and it shows the percentage will change. See, it says 99.8% there. See, it goes down 99.4, 99.3. When is the 100% full moon? It does not even show it here on mooncalc. Now, since that other site said the 30th was the full moon, I'll change it to the 30th at 98.7, 98.6. It's going down.
So this is interesting then. This kind of goes, Ron, if we would have had this website for us, I could have answered Mark's question about when will the new moon, appear, because I want to say it's always going to appear right at the break of day. But if you can, slide your sun around here and then the moon's designation is up here, right? That's pretty cool. But again, all of this has to be checked out with nature itself. I'm not gonna take any of this for granted. And it seems to me that, Ron, you're asking a different question than I am. You're saying, if the science is so fixed, as you said, then why are these two different websites? Why don't they have the same information about the moon? Surely you would have to ask which one is correct. If they don't both have the same information, which one do I go with? You're like, it doesn't really matter, It's all about that comfort zone, that area of allowable difference. All right, let's finish this.
99. There you go. 99.8 is the highest percentage the moon
What?
calc shows.
What? This is a really interesting schematic here. So is this the amount of area that the sun is in? Like, so if you have someone, I can't see what this is. What is this location? Is it Shipley or Chipley, Florida?
I believe this
It's
probably
Chipley. Okay. Okay, so this is Chipley, Florida. All right. So from what I just am picking up right now, this little pin is, let's say, a person. And if you if you live in Chipley, then this is your day. This is the amount of time the daylight is in your sky. That's what this whole schematic looks like. Right? Because watch, he goes back in time here, or he goes into time, right?
at 98.7.
So he's moving this along. He's moving this along, and the sun. I'm sorry, the moon now is showing you that it's in the daytime.
98.6. He's going down.
Okay, hold on. See, now here's the moon. Now this is nighttime. Now here's the moon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The moon's right here. So the moon is only visible in this diameter. In this perimeter, or in this circumference, this is where you'll see the moon. If you're in Chipley right here, this is how far the moon will be visible to you, which is more than, the curve of the earth, so to speak.
99.
See, now he just switched now to the daytime. So this was at night. That doesn't make any sense. If we go, okay, first of all, we're in military time. So this is the afternoon. So that's not nighttime. Okay, so then nothing that I'm saying necessarily is accurate. Because this is 8 o'clock and the sun is right here. That doesn't make any sense. I'm confused. Right? So I'm confused. This is now 9 o'clock at night. Why is the sun right here? Okay, I'm going to have to check this out myself.
6. He's going down. 99. Highest. I don't think I saw the 100% full moon here. But this is some science has it, and if that we're not supposed to ask questions, the
Totally screwing up on something. What happened?
Is the highest percentage
There we
the moon
go.
calc shows. I believe this is probably correct. I don't think I saw the 100% full moon here. But this is something that we should probably look into. I mean, I know that we're not supposed to ask questions. The science has it all figured out. The science is settled. But
All right, so let me just show you real quick, because I think that you would change your tune, Ron, if the way of saying what I'm going to say was said differently. So you, Ron, can see the moon when it is dark. Okay? And I'm going to show you right here where this is no filter. Okay? So you can clearly see, and I can see this with my naked eye. So you know, I mean, unless you meant something else, and maybe that's my fault for not knowing, on the map. When the moon looks dark, I can't see it. Oh, on the map. Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry. That's where, right? I wasn't sure how I misunderstood what you said, but obviously I did.
I got questions. And if is the highest percentage that MoonCalc shows. I believe this is probably correct. I don't think I saw the 100% full moon here. But this is something that we should probably look into. I mean, I know that we're not supposed to ask questions. The science has it all figured out. The science is settled. But I got questions.
Sorry, I have to pause this because I can't listen and multitask at the same time, and Ian just sent me a new picture that was better. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then I would need to take a picture of my moon right now and then come back in and do a layover. I can maybe do that in a little while. As a matter of fact, I might get up and stretch my legs a little bit because I've been sitting at this, what time did I start? 2 hours. I've been doing this for 2 hours. So look, I'm trying to grow this channel. This channel is all about spirituality and science and philosophy. And if this kind of information is appealing to you, and then you know other people like you, please share this content so that they can join the Smurf army that I've created to come back to trusting our senses, questioning our sources, and resisting consensus. I'm going to have to start doing these live streams longer. We have to get more people in here because I have to have 4,000 watch hours. Well, actually I don't, because somebody just gave me the secret to the thing. So I have to put that to the test. If I have to put that to the test and you get me, I'll be so excited. So let's finish this video in 2 minutes, and I will then maybe play some sky view footage and let you guys enjoy that while I go out for a walk.
And if some of y'all could help me out with this, maybe take some good pictures of the moon, we can figure out when the 100% full moon is. I mean, do we get one every month? I don't know. Okay, you go to...
I say we do.
Took these pictures of the day of the January 31st lunar eclipse, and you can see this does look like it's 100% full. You don't see any crater shadows or anything around the edges. See all these. This was an hour or two before the eclipse. See, no, I don't see any crater.
Well, the thing about it right now, Ron, is that you're not zooming in, because I can see disruptions in the surface right here. Like right here, there's a disturbance in the surface. And so it's not a pristine line. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but man, listen, right? We know that they're lying. So if science tells you that the moon is never 100% full, then you know the exact opposite is true. And science tells you the moon's never 100% full. That's impossible. How can it go from 99.99 to negative 0.001? What happened to the middle part? You just like blinked and it didn't exist? You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't go from 97 cents to $1.05 without 8 cents. You can't. You have to have that 8 cents. You can't go from, oh, tomorrow was a 99.8% moon, and then on Friday is going to be a 99.10%. Like, what about the other days? No, it just went from one to the next. Just with it. Like, that doesn't happen. That's impossible. Do you understand my incredulity? That can't happen. You can't be almost full moon. I disagree. No, it's absolutely no. I will take a kick. I will take a kick to both shins with pointy boots. It waxes to 99.8%. And look, that's like saying this, Ron, that when you are going to fill up this container with water, you only fill it up to 99.8%, and then you start to take it out at 99.7. Think about that. I'm going to say that again because I think that that actually hits the nail on the head. Saying what science says about the moon waxing and waning to full moon, saying what science says about what the moon does, is like saying, I have a container here, I'm going to fill it full of water, and when I'm filling it, let's call that the waxing phase. So I'm going to fill, but stop at 99.8. So how much is in there? 99.8. And then you're going to tell me that you're going to start taking water out at 99.7. My question is, where did the 0.10% go? 0.1%. Not 0.1. Where did the 10% go? No. The 100th, right? Wouldn't it be 100th? 10, 100,000? I'm sorry. Where did the 100th% go? Because you would have to have a difference. If you filled it to 99.8 and then started taking out when it went to 99.7, where did that transition from 8 to 7 happen? If you didn't do anything, who did? Right? It doesn't just go away. So I'm saying you can't just skip over the full moon. Here we are at 99.8% waxing gibbous. Yay! Too bad we can't see the full moon. Yay, here we are on the 99.7 waning gibbous. Like, no. Where did the middle part go? Well, I don't know. Did you fall asleep? That's insane. That's impossible. Do you hear the insanity that's coming out of my mouth right now? That's crazy. There is a full moon every single freaking month. All right. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do right now is try to stop coughing. But I'm going to get my playlist on some refractions readings that I've done in the past. Maybe I shouldn't because they might say things that I don't want said. I can't do that. Poop. Let me put this on. This was a this was an idea that I messed around with I think 3 years ago. So I'm gonna I'm gonna go out for a walk right now, stretch my legs, get some fresh air, listen to the birds sing. But there's over 4 hours of content here. So I have this under the GoFundMe. This GoFundMe isn't in process anymore, but I don't know if the link is still active, so you could find it and see if you could still make a donation. That is, I'm always going to be open to accepting support from anyone. Well, if you want to, I'll be back I'll be back after my walk, but I plan on continuing to be here, and since we're both on the East Coast, maybe later on tonight, if you want to shoot the shit later on, that's fine. So anyway, I'm going to push play on this and let you guys hang out with this information. Let me make it a little bit like that. Okay. All right. And that is really low, so let's make sure I bring this up. Oh, it's in my ears, it's low. What ho! Welcome back to another Makes me so sad when all of my albums back there are blurry. Got The Who right there. Got Chris DeBerg right there. Got Crosby, Stills, and Nash right there. Got Billy Joel right there. Got The Fix. Fleetwood Mac. Forerunner. Alan Parsons. Billy Joel, Boston, and Harry Chapin. Just a few of the wall art there that I got there. Welcome back to another exciting adventure of The Plain Truth. I'm your host, Travis Finley. Okay, let's go to the School of Perspective, shall we? Here we go. No one's talking about this. Part 3. Episode 3. No one's talking about this. The medium through which the observation is being made is the cause for each of these presentments, which are all taken from the same observation point. The island hasn't moved, yet there are differing physical sizes to each. The 40-foot arch is visible in only 2 of these images. Why is there no visibility in the left image? Anacapa is 19 miles away. My observer height is somewhere from 12 to 15 feet, depending on the tide. I don't know what it was, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a smurf? Focal length in this, 357. 357, 357. Okay? Here, we have a clear inferior mirage. Here, no. Here, I would say a very acute. Okay, so here we go right here. This fold line, this is the fold line of an acute inferior mirage. This is the fold line of an obtuse inferior mirage. What is creating the limit to the water? Why does the water stop here? Why? What is creating the limit to the water? What is creating the limit to the water there? Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is put in the grid lines. All right, so now you can see the grid lines there. Now it's going to go back over here. Who am I? Slash Barcane. Slice Barcane just mumbles while he's doodling stuff. What a big doofus. What do you call it? 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 Alright. Got 3 grids there. This isn't pixels. This is just grids, but same. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Okay? How can you have the lighthouse take up the same grid line? This is obviously smaller. The island is obviously smaller than this. And then here, I don't even know. I'll just give it 2 because I can't even see very clearly, but you know, whatever. Okay? See how that works? Now, real quick, and then here. Okay, now we're going to take a generic idea of the distance from here to the water line. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm counting every square that gets touched by, let's just do this, all the way down to the water, all the way down to the water. Which way do I go? Which way do I go? Okay. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 squares. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21 squares. 21 squares. And then 1, 2, I think I made my point there. Not even going to count that. Now, what these ballers are going to do is tell you that the missing amount of island is below the horizon, right? So
let's, how about this? I just thought of this right now. So now this is 21. This was 16. So let's take 5 off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So now these ballers want you to think that this much of the island is below the horizon. And they want you to think that the refraction has lifted this up. Here is our idea. You can see everything in front of you because it's there. The reason why you can't see it here is because she drops her skirts to hide what's there. So all we're doing is reversing the explanation. Here, the ballers say refraction is bringing it up so you can see it. Here, I'm saying that refraction is bringing up the horizon and dropping down the stuff beyond the horizon. You got more than one effect going on. In this spot right here, that is a mirage. That is a mirage, okay?
It was cold. It was cold outside. Oh.
You okay?
It was cold. So that just goes to show you that my walk didn't last very long because it was so pooping cold. I have to give myself a wrench right now, but I have to do this because there are icons on my window that hide things. So now I am okay. So a needle pulling thread. I am going to have to... Oh, I'm going to stop this stream and start a new one. Ron, if you would do this for me, I would be forever grateful. So, YouTube, I'm sure you know, requires that you have 4,000 hours of watch time before you can go live. You know what? Never mind. I just remembered what I forgot. Hold on to that thought because I might have a way around it. And if I do, then I won't need to do this. And I need to do this right now. Otherwise, I'll forget. And then I'll keep repeating this same mistake over and over in Groundhog Day. So, if you've made it this far, in the future, listening to this recorded, if you made it this far to the very end, here's your reward. Email me if I'm still alive and make the claim that I offered $25 to the person who, listening to this episode in the future, when you got to this point, you email me and say, I was listening to this episode at this timestamp and you said this. I have to confirm it. You have to prove that you heard me say it. I'll pay you $25. Or the equivalent thereof in 50 years. Right? Because I'll see you in 50 years, I'm sure. This has been another exciting adventure of the Ubercast, Travis Finley, Red Hen Radio, Plain Truth, the whole kit and caboodle. Until next